Fala pessoal, eu sou o Giuliano Passini e hoje eu estou aqui no hotel dos Maori All Blacks. Vou bater um papo com o Luke Komatua. Ele é o spiritual leader, né? O líder espiritual dos Maori All Blacks. Ele que faz todo o trabalho para trazer eles junto, para unir a cultura e para transformar o que eles são boas pessoas em bons jogadores e bons jogadores em boas pessoas. Então vamos bater esse papo. Espero que vocês curtam. Bora lá. Luke, thank you for having us again.
This is a better place to
that's the
not rushed.
The proper place,
not
right?
rushed and
Look, if you could just introduce yourself.
My name is Luke Crawford, and I am the co-matua for the Maori All Black team. And I suppose that has been translated to many things. Co-matua in Japan, they said I was a shogun. I don't think that's right. But in other places, they've called me a spiritual leader of the team. But probably the most accurate is that I look after the Maori cultural elements of the Maori All Black team.
What's the importance of the cultural aspect of this team?
The Maori All Blacks are a high-performance rugby team. So we operate according to high-performance practices and values, which are set by rugby. But the special nature of the Maori team is that we're also Maori. And we utilise aspects of the Maori culture and Maori process and practice or custom to assist us with our on-field performance. So that's my job, is to marry the culture and custom to the high-performance rugby side of the Maori All Black team.
At least one thing that you do in practice to bring these two sides together and help them achieve the higher goals?
Yeah. So I started with the team in 2010, and the first few years was a learning experience to me in regards to how to fit culture into rugby, high performance. One of them obviously, and probably the most preeminent or the foremost tikanga that we use in the Maori All Black team is HAKA. Ha is breath. Ha. And ka is to set on fire. So setting your breath on fire is the nature of what HAKA is. So that's like a literal translation of it. But for us, the HAKA is something that can unite and bring the team together, and I've seen that happening. And obviously a team that is well in tune and united off-field will carry that to the on-field performance. So there's real value in making sure that in learning HAKA that we're united in our thinking and in our actions and in the purpose of what we collectively want the HAKA to achieve for us.
I would like to know the meaning of this HAKA that the Maori All Blacks perform.
So HAKA is also about telling stories or having a conversation. And often that conversation is described by other teams and different people as laying down a challenge. The Maori All Black HAKA is a HAKA where we have a conversation with ourselves firstly, and by ourselves I mean the team is having a conversation with itself. The Maori All Black HAKA is called Te Timatanga, which means the beginning.
The beginning.
Timata, to begin. So Te Timatanga is the early parts of our whakapapa or our lineage, where we come from. So the words of our haka says I te kore or I te timatanga ko te kore, which is in the beginning there was nothing. There was a void. So that's the start of it. And then from there, our haka then traces the whakapapa or the genealogy or the steps through to the modern time of those players who are standing there on the field and what the expectations of the nation, of their family, of each other, what those expectations are. And that there is that we'll put our very best foot forward and that we will raise our performance to a level that everyone will be very proud of. So we would aim for the highest height. So that's what our haka is. It's an aspirational haka it's one that we converse with each other to say, let's do the best we can.
Why do you think that people get so emotional and admire so much the haka?
The hakas are really interesting for rugby. It was always very interesting for rugby in New Zealand, and the haka is so ingrained now in rugby, not only rugby, but across all other sports as well. Basketball, the netball, soccer, all of these codes do the haka before a game now. So it's become intrinsically linked to sport. And I think that the link is through being proud of who we are and where we come from. So in the 1800s, we had Tom Ellison, who said whenever a team represents New Zealand, there's three things that they must have as an identity and to show where we're from. One, a black jersey. Two, they must have a silver fern on the jersey. And three, they must do the haka. And since then, that's how it's been. Over the years, the teams have done the haka not so well, but then you get to Wayne Shelford or Buck Shelford, who says, if we're going to do the haka, we need to do it properly. So turns the tide and says, we're going to do it properly from now on, and the All Blacks did. And then from there, it's just gotten better and better and better. So I think, to answer the question, I think the haka is so intrinsically linked now to the All Blacks and to New Zealand teams that it's become part of rugby. And as part of rugby, people are ultimately very respectful and they expect it now. So there's an expectation that we will do the haka. So we do.
When we see the All Blacks or the Maori All Blacks perform the haka, we often see them making the pukana, the protruding tongue. What's the meaning of that?
The protruding tongue. So pukana
Can you do this for us?
Pukana is to, you're doing a good job there, pukana is to open your eyes wide and to accentuate your face. So that's pukana. Whetero is to poke your...
Can you show what it is?
So there, that's protruding tongue. So
Did I?
oh,
Yeah?
no, I think you're poking your tongue out rather than doing a whetero. No, it does take practice.
Yeah.
I'll say that. It does take practice because to give a genuineness to it and to give meaning, the first thing is to understand what's happening in that process. So some will describe that as the god of war, Tu Matauinga, or Tu Matauinga, it's pronounced often. God of war. Mata is face. Uinga is grotesque. So the god of war, Tu Matauinga, is to make your face grotesque and thus bring on warlike qualities. The whetero, the poking it out of the tongue, is the revelation of the inner spirit of you, of the warrior. And so all of those things have multiple meanings and purpose, but predominantly it's to show passion and commitment to what's the message that you're carrying and to the art of battle that we're about to interact with. So yeah, that's the
So putting your spirit out, what you have inside out, is to show how passionate you are.
I think it's also that outward and overt demonstration of the commitment and passion within. So you maintain all of that within, but you're showing this is it. Now, so this is showing in the conversation with your friends and your team, but it also has the effect often of actually having an effect on other players on the other side who think, ooh, Jingos, they look committed. They look like they mean what they're about to do. So a good haka is, while it's not intentionally meant to be about getting a psychological advantage, that really is up to the opposition as to how they interpret it. So it can have that advantage sometimes, but most of the time it's about actually unifying and bringing the team together.
Espero que vocês tenham curtido. Deixa aqui seu comentário, dá seu like nesse vídeo e segue a gente no canal. Valeu!